Hi everyone, welcome back to Mama Cash Rewind on WXBJ Cool 94.1, where I play the soundtrack of your life. Today is a real treat because joining me is a true rock legend. As founding member and voice behind one of the most successful bands in rock history, my guest helped create the soundtrack of the 60s and 70s with hit after hit that still fill the airwaves today. Three Dog Night gave us unforgettable classics like Joy to the World, Mama Told Me Not to Come, Black and White, Celebrate, Shambhala, Never Been to Spain, Easy to Be Hard, and Old Fashioned Love Song, and so many more. With over 40 million records sold, 21 consecutive Billboard Top 40 hits, and music that continues to span generations, their legacy is truly remarkable. I'm honored to welcome the founding member of Three Dog Night, Danny Hutton. Danny, it's such an honor to have you on Mama Cash Rewind. 6 decades of Three Dog Night and more than 50 million records sold, and songs that are truly the soundtrack of so many of our lives. What really stood out to me about your story is that you were born in Ireland, came to America, and you didn't just join Three Dog Night, you created Three Dog Night, shaping its vision and sound. What an incredible legacy, and I want to thank you for taking this time with us today.
Absolutely, Mama.
Yeah. So, Danny, congratulations on more than 6 decades of Three Dog Night.
Well, I'm just happy to be breathing. Yeah. Well, you know what I'm proud of is the group. After all these years, I think people get the perception when you get really old that you kind of can't do it or whatever. In our legacy, and I think some people get old, and everybody gets old, but you don't have to be old.
Exactly.
We haven't lowered the keys. I've lowered the keys in any of the songs, and a lot of the older groups lose their highs for whatever reason, no matter how good they are. I'm singing higher than I did 20 years ago. Maybe because I stopped 2 packs of cigarettes a day and
yeah.
naughty stuff that I used to do. That all stopped a while back. So I'm thrilled with the new group, and I have 2 of my sons are in the band now, and I know a lot of people are gonna go, and I can only say, well, they're replacing 2 guys that died.
Yep.
They weren't fired. But my sons were playing since they were 3 or 4, so they had an audition. I mean, they got chops for days. They're really good. They read music. They do a bit more than I do. They've been touring. I used to take them on tour, so they've been on tour with everybody, the Beach Boys and America and Frankie Valli, and my one son Dash. There's a group called Haim, a girl group, and did #1 album in England. Very very popular group, and he's played Glastonbury, the big huge fair.
Yes.
So they're real deals. My other son's a producer, and I have a studio here at the house, so I get to see a lot of younger bands that come up there. My sons produce them. I bought my house from Alice Cooper.
How cool is that? How cool is having the studio there too now? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, up in Lower Canyon. So I've been up there since the 70s. And next door neighbor is Mickey Dolenz, and Mickey moved out to the valley. Johnny Mitchell is down the street.
Oh, so, God.
Yeah,
rock royalty.
Yeah, and I came into Lower Canyon in like 19. For a lot of the listeners might not know what I'm talking about, but Lower Canyon is hills. There are hills about 15 minutes from the Sunset Strip, but you're right in the middle of the mountains.
Yeah.
So all of the crazies, hippies came here to either get loaded or die or become famous in music.
Right,
So
right.
I was one of the early. I originally came out, and my mother and I ended up after she got in an accident, got a little money car accident. She wasn't driving. Ended up getting a little house under the Hollywood sign. So
Oh,
I
wow.
grew up in Hollywood under the Hollywood sign. So anyway, I moved to Lower Canyon in '64. And before the whole thing started happening, and all of a sudden I'm on a little rented place, and these two guys drive by together, and I talk to them, Stephen Stills and Neil Young, and they're looking for a place. And I'm thinking, one of them's from down south, and the other guy's from Canada. These interlopers are coming in town. Joni Mitchell comes down from Canada. And Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and all that stuff. So anyway, I'm rambling, but
no, not hardly.
I started basically because there was a Hollywood guy, who was actually brought up. And most of all of the artists all come here to make it, and this is my neighborhood. I went to Catholic grammar school right off Hollywood Boulevard, and a Catholic high school in the Valley. And two of the guys at that school ended up, one being in the Living Spoonful and one being in the Association.
Wow.
So my aunts and uncles, when I came to the States, came to Boston.
Yeah.
My mother was the youngest, so she took good care of my grandmother until she passed. She came to, she got her way paid by my Uncle Eddie. And we'd have big nights once a month. It's one of the houses, and you had to get up and sing, dance, or play an instrument, or recite a poem, or juggle, or something. So my mother played mandolin, so I had the music thing kind of.
You grew up. You grew up with it.
I grew up around it.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about the Laurel Canyon scene, because you were, right in the middle of it. And I was going to ask you about sharing some stories, like what stories that make you smile today. But it sounds like you have really fond memories of that place. And I don't know if there's anything extra you want to share about Laurel Canyon.
I have stories, and some I can't even tell you. First of all, I was best man to of all people, Mark Goldman from the Turtles, and he was in the Canyon. Mm-hmm. I was best man, Brian Wilson's best man, and probably my best friend. Brian actually didn't really live in the Canyon, but when I lived in this little house where I met Stills and Neil Young, my girlfriend was a dancer on one of those, the Friday night shows that they had then, where the local DJ would have a local program and have groups on. She was a go-go dancer.
Okay, yeah.
And her friend Mimi lived right above me, and so her and her boyfriend came down. So I got to know him, Jack Nicholson. So Jack was my neighbor, and actually I turned him onto the grass, and just a lot of people. Tom Wolfe knocked on my door. Morrison came over, and I mean, I knew
you knew everybody.
Part of the whole scene.
Yeah, you knew everybody. Well, I was going to also ask you about Brian Wilson. He wanted to produce the band before Three Dog Night became Three Dog Night. Yeah, he wanted to produce the group as Redwood.
Well, I can tell you how that kind of started. I guess in 65, I had this crazy hit single in L.A. Called Roses and Rainbows, and it's because I worked at Hanna-Barbera.
Right.
So that was the start of it. I don't know if you know a lot about Hanna-Barbera, but anyway, that was I worked at Disney Studios. Then I went to I got loading and unloading records off a truck. And then I got a call from someone I knew, and they said, Hanna-Barbera is looking for someone. They were going to start a rock and roll record company, and as you know, the Flintstones, they didn't do anything like that. And I joined, and I became a producer and A&R guy over there.
Oh wow, for them, yeah.
And I was the young Turk that went out and found acts, and I would produce records. They started by trying out to find regional hits, and then to take them and put them on their label and then promote them.
What did you think when you saw yourself as a cartoon? Because you're in there as a cartoon, yeah.
Yeah. What happened is that I used to go in and I would go in the studio and I'd do most of the instruments. I would sing lead and write a song and sing all the harmony parts, and then they'd pick a name like the Bats, and then one of these local shows in different parts of the country, they would have those Friday night television shows, and then they would get guys to lip sync and call themselves the Bats, that kind of thing. And then I wrote the song, and then he said, we like this song enough, we're going to promote it on the label, and you were going to be an artist, and you're going to be a performer. I said, I'm not a performer, I'm a studio guy. He said, yes, you are. We're going to draw you as a cartoon. And the sequence was when they introduced Pebbles and Bam Bam.
Oh my God!
It was the first episode of the 5th or 6th year.
Oh.
So the scene was Fred and Barney sitting in bedrock watching TV, and I come on the TV singing. I had a lie to my niece and nephew, and I told them I lived in bedrock for a while. And then out of nowhere, the song became a hit. It became a hit song, and then I was on American Bandstand, and then they said, we're putting you on tour. And I went out with Sonny and Cher when they had the #1 song, I Got You, Babe.
Yeah.
And getting back to your point, so I met Corey. He was in a group called The Enemies, the blues singer in our band. And I said, someday I'm going to work with this guy. So then things cooled down for me. And I went on Mercury, MGM Records. I did some more singles, but things weren't happening. And then my manager, we stopped working together. He phoned me. He said, I'm now the president of Brother Records. And Brother Records was the Beach Boys' new record company. He said, you want to meet Brian Wilson? So I said, are you kidding? I loved him. So I met Brian, and we became fast friends. I was at all the Pet Sound sessions, and I learned so much more about everything as far as the studio. He's a genius.
Oh yeah, he really is, for sure.
I'm a car guy, so I went to the Roosevelt Hotel out here in LA to a Concours d'Elegance, a car show, and I saw these really incredible cars next to each other, but they were all different, but they were all really good. And I thought, you know what? Let me get 2 other singers, and it's almost like that. There are all these singers instead of one singer and background guys, and that was the start of it. So I phoned Corey. I got Corey, and then we secretly auditioned the 3rd singer, Chuck. And then I phoned up Brian. I stayed friends with him, Brian Wilson, and I brought him up, and he lived in Bel Air. And Edgar Rice Burroughs, he bought Edgar Rice Burroughs' house, the guy that wrote Tarzan, and he painted the house purple. And they made him change it. But he had a big recording studio, real deal recording studio. So he said, I wrote a song for you called Darling, Danny, and you guys, and I'm going to call you Redwood. And I said, okay. And we recorded the 2 songs. We put the tracks down and put a guide vocal on it, and the Beach Boys came back from the road, and rightly so. Mike Love said, "What are you doing? That's a hit song. Who are these guys?" I mean, and anyway, we ended up saying, "Brian, I guess the Beach Boys, it's your group." And anyway, the song went on. Carl put his voice on it, and it was a big hit for them. And that was the start of Three Dog Night. Our manager said, three guys, singers, you're going to have different orchestras and bands backing you up. Become a band. Get some guys. So that's what we did, and that was the start of Three Dog Night. Sorry for the long ramble, but
no, you actually, these were my questions, so this is excellent. I'm so thrilled. That's a unique thing, though, to have three lead singers. Three guys singing. Yeah,
that was the big hook because to this day, anybody coming and see, I always think they're about fashion and style, and if you're too fashionable, you'll get hung by your own petard, because the fashions go out. They're meant to go out of style.
That's right.
Especially with clothes.
Yep.
They're transient.
Yep.
Style stays forever. All the different musical trends. If you're known as a blah blah type of band, a certain style of music, that's fine. But we didn't even think on that level, because me kind of do a rock voice. Corey does great blues singing, and Chuck was a great ballad singer. Mm-hmm. But we could all do all three of them individually. But that gave us the ability to play any kind of music. People coming to see our set. I mean, our songs are from easy listening, pop, rock, country, funk, blues, ballads. We do every style of music, and I think if the songs are good, the harmonies in any language, people can appreciate harmonies.
Absolutely.
And if the melodies are good, and if you get all of that in, you get the nice, good words. I don't think that they don't ever go out of fashion.
No, they don't.
So, the critics, after a while, really started nailing us. It's like, well, who are these guys? What's blah, blah, blah. And nowadays, I think that helps us be one of the unique bands. When you think people going to a concert, they're going to go and see blah, blah band, a blah, blah type of music. All night, you're going to kind of hear that.
You had, though, in addition to your style, okay, I don't think people even know that Elton John used to open for Three Dog Night, but you had...
I would say he opened for it. I knew him when he was Reggie Dwight.
Right.
I met him in England when he was a writer, he and Bernie.
Right.
And we got to be really good friends with him. His first transatlantic phone call was from me. And when he came to L.A., I helped get him the gig at the Troubadour. But in England, when it was Reggie, when I say he didn't open for us, he was a roadie.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I stand corrected. I thought he opened. Okay.
No. He was a writer of Dick James music, but it was trying to get him in England when we were trying to break with One and stuff. And there was no more room on the guest list, so I said, "Come on, we'll sneak you in as our roadie."
Oh, God.
So we snuck him in the back as roadie. So he knew he wasn't really a roadie, but he was in a way.
Yeah, on the guest list he was on the guest list.
Yeah. And I did. I brought him up to actually once he got into town, played all night at my house, and. I ended up, I took him up to Brian Wilson's house, who was a big fan of his. And Brian, when we got to the gate and pushed the button, Brian answered singing your song to him. And he melted. It was so nice. I was watching the Hall of Fame show for last year. And I was stunned because the album came out, and the first thing he's sitting at a piano, he says, "Well, I first met Danny Hutton," and that was the first words out of his mouth. And I thought, my God, that's pretty cool.
Well, you're pretty cool. What about Harry Nilsson and Paul Williams and Randy Newman, and I could go on. And
Harry helped when I first went to England. I was staying at the Britannia Hotel, so I get a knock on the door. We had done one. I never met him, and they opened it up, and I went, "Oh." He said, "Harry." I said, "I know you're Harry Nilsson." He said, "Yeah." He said, "What are you doing staying in this dump?" And I went, "This is a nice hotel room." He said, "Come on over. I live on Park Lane, and there's a bunch of apartments, flats, and there's a flat below me that's available." So he got me into staying in London. I every year I'd go over to this flat for 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas. So he was a madman, so he'd come over to my house. He'd come over to my house, and he'd be just loot. And he would go in the back room where I had a piano. I had a bedroom painted black. And he would sit at the piano and he would play. I have the recordings of him doing it. So I get a knock on one door and it's Harry. And I said, "What's up?" He said, "I got some buddies. Can I come in?" I said, "Come on in." And it was John Lennon and Ringo.
Oh, jeez.
And their bodyguard guy, I forget his name, Mal Evans, who was actually shot by the police later.
What can you tell me about Paul Williams?
Oh, I knew Paul. Paul had a Bugatti with an American engine in it, but he was a great guy, very funny. But heard demos of his, and then he came over with the demo, "Old Fashioned Love Song."
Oh, I love that song. Yeah.
But I heard the story later on. What happened is he went to the Carpenters with it first. And I guess Richard Carpenter heard about a verse and a half and said, I don't want to play that junk.
Oh, my God.
So I want to thank him for passing on it.
Yeah. And you worked with some really great, but you know what? It was because of you that they became legends, these people. Harry Nilsson.
No. You know what people don't realize is that I can mention a lot of names that people go, "You knew who?" All of us at the time no one knew who was going to live on and who was going to really get huge. Mm-hmm. You're all aspiring, starting out. When I met Nicholson, he was a writer.
Wow, I didn't know that about him.
He wrote the Monkees movie. I knew Harry Dean Stanton, who used to come over and play his guitar. I don't know if you know who Harry Dean Stanton is, but a great actor. All these different people, I just knew from then, and then there are people that I hung out with who should have happened and who didn't happen. Yeah. So it's that thing of sometimes it's timing, or sometimes there's a fatal flaw somebody has. That's not they can be great at playing an instrument or singing or arranging, but they've got maybe a personal thing that really has hurt them. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you about the Wrecking Crew. Like, at a time when so many hit records were made using the Wrecking Crew, Three Dog Night insisted on being a true touring and recording band.
Every song was our band. Every song, there was nothing weird. By the way, I don't think you knew, on Roses Rainbows, I used the Baja Marimba band. That was Herb Albert's band. It was the Wrecking Crew. So Roses and Rainbows, my song, that's the Wrecking Crew on it.
Wow.
So except Earl Palmer, Hal Blaine, who did the drummer on Pet Sounds. On my song, I used Earl Palmer, who was part of it too, but he was like Little Richard's drummer too. So that record is, it's a simple little love song, but when you hear the track, I listened a while back and I went, God, it's a good track. And I went, oh, that was the Wrecking Crew. No wonder it was pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Three Dog Night helped pioneer what became the modern stadium tour. Did you realize at the time that you were changing the way rock concerts were going to be presented going forward?
Well, we were the first. We were the first band before there was the Beatles, and then we were the first band that did stadiums after the Beatles. And at the time, you didn't know. I mean, the Beatles stopped because they had these little amps, and the little, the speakers are usually, the speakers at sports stadiums where they talk, the announcer talks. They were singing out of stuff like that. So we brought in big screens, the huge PA systems. Yeah, we were the first guys to do it. The critics just, after a while, one critic said, we're going to take them down because they're too popular. Ben Fontoris from Rolling Stone in his book wrote that.
Wow.
And I can understand if you didn't like our style.
Whatever, to each his own. You guys are icons. So, the songs, was there ever a song you passed on? Well, you did. You just told me one that you were glad that they passed on that song. That's I miss. Yeah.
I think Distant Fires, the song America did. We had
I know that.
Russ Ballard.
I love that song. Yeah. So what happened with that? Tell me about that.
Oh, it just we didn't hear it. It just dropped through the cracks.
Well, that's okay. You have a million other hits. That's okay. So, when you first heard "Joy to the World," did it immediately feel like something special, or did it surprise everyone?
No, I didn't like it.
Oh, you didn't?
Well, the drummer, the bass player and the guitar player, Joe and Michael, had been to a session, a recording session that Hoyt Axton was doing. And Hoyt was with our management company. So he'd written these songs. He was going to try to do a Saturday morning children's show thing. So they're all kind of for children. And he couldn't sell any of them. He couldn't sell it. So he pieced off all of the different songs. And he came over, and he's a big guy, actor, and the Gremlins, or whatever the movie, he was the father in it and stuff. So he had a big baritone voice, and he came in all sweaty singing, Jeremiah, and I thought, oh, God. And then Chuck liked it a little bit, and I wasn't. And then once we got in the studio and fiddled with it, we still. And I remember Michael did some of the arranging and making it modulate and stuff like that. We started going, yeah, that's good. And we thought, well, this is going to be like a quirky song on the album. So we released the album. We released 2 other singles first, and then we said, let's move on to the next album. And then all of a sudden, the DJs all over the country started calling, and 10 million singles later, I think it was number 1 for 5 weeks or 6 weeks. You just never know.
Right. I guess that's it. You just really don't
It's
ever.
universal. Little kids like it, and then the song talks about drinking. It talks about straight shoot the son of a gun, like a lot of the people from Vietnam said. This song got me through the. You interpret the song the way you want it.
Right.
Right. But for us, at the end of the set, is how can you beat Joy to the Fishes and the Deep Blue Sea and Joy to You and Me?
Yeah. No, and the lyrics, it's a good song to sing along with. It's
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I know that your fans are excited to see Three Dog Night at Indian Ranch Amphitheater in Webster, Mass. What can they expect when they come out to see the show?
Well, I expect them to leave with a big smile on their face.
Yeah.
My mother used to say, "Self-praise is no praise at all." But the band, it couldn't be better. We have a new show. It'll surprise a lot of people, but I think in a good way. So, and the songs are, as I said, they're all. We haven't lowered the key in the songs, and I think they're going to see that it all sounds even bigger than they remember. I guarantee you, whatever style of music, we will play it during the evening.
I'm really looking forward to the show. I can't wait to see you guys live. So.
Okay, you're going to be there.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
That'd be wonderful, Mama. I will see you, Mama.
Absolutely. Danny, after everything you've accomplished, what do you hope that people remember most about Three Dog Night? Not just the music, but what the band meant to generations.
I think we're a band that brought a lot of memories, and we are a great live band. Very proud of that. Dick Clark said, "You guys have got to come and see him." Michael Jackson's his favorite band when he was a kid. So
that says something. That speaks pretty loudly. Yeah. You yourself, you have had a front row seat to one of the greatest eras in rock history. Is there one moment where you ever just stopped and thought, I can't believe this is my life?
Playing it in front of 500,000 people.
Yeah.
At the Washington Monument.
Oh, wow. Wow. When was that? When did you do that?
In the 80s.
How cool. How very, very, very cool.
Yeah. And that evening, we actually went down. Ringo was on drums with our drummer on it. And we went down to Florida and played at South Beach, North Beach, whatever, and to 100,000 people at the beach. So it's actually 600,000. So that was the moment I said, yes, something's going on.
I'll bet. Well, I can't thank you enough for joining me today for Mama Cash Rewind. I know that our listeners are going to cherish this interview. Myself, I'm almost without words. Really, it was terrific talking with you.
Oh, thank you, Mama.
You're welcome.
I'll see you on the 11th.